What's going on, pursuers? Welcome to the Pursuit of Calling podcast, where my goal and purpose is to provide you with the strategies and tools needed to successfully discover and pursue your God-given calling. I'm your host, Thomas Carney, and today we're talking about how to pursue your calling well. All right, what's going on, pursuers? So 2 weeks ago, we talked about what calling or purpose is. We defined it. Then we talked about like how to discover your calling using the Discover Your Calling planning guide, which you can get at pursuitofcalling.com or pursuitofcalling.com. And if you haven't listened to those episodes yet, make sure to do so. Make sure you do so before you listen to this one. Go back and listen to those 2 episodes to get the full benefit from this short little series that I'm doing. And don't forget to get your copy of the planning guide. So now that you've discovered your calling, or at least have a better idea as to what it might be, how do you actually pursue it? As a personal example, before I recorded this episode, before I knew I was going to be recording this episode, I was having a conversation with a friend. And not really talking about the podcast too much, but like we are talking about our different goals, the businesses that we have or are starting, and he made a comment I don't think he realized that he made. But my friend Matt, hey Matt, if you listen to the podcast, he said that and I've been talking about getting entering into the John Maxwell certification program, entering into the Maxwell team for a really long time, for probably over a year. And he made a comment. He was like, "And you're going to get your coaching, and then one day you'll do the Maxwell stuff if you're actually going to do that." And he didn't say it in a condescending way, but he said it in a way that convicted me a little bit. And so I wanted to make sure and that made me realize I wasn't doing everything I could be to pursue my calling well and with excellence. This is something I said I was going to do for a really long time. And for a long time, it was just lip service. It was just lip service to my calling, because I said I was going to be willing one day to invest my time and resources and money into this thing that I believe is great. But that day wasn't coming. Like, when was I going to decide that I was actually ready? So, I finally decided to pay the tuition fee for that, and for the whole certification program. I joined the team, which is only going to exponentially propel me forward, and it's going to help me provide better services, and it caused me to be able to serve you and to serve my future clients at a capacity that I would never have been able to do before. Because now I'm part of a network. There's courses I can take to gain some new skills. There's even content that I can teach from, and I can guide clients through to help them grow and to help them reach their calling and pursue their calling, live in their calling well with excellence. That's the whole point of this podcast. So the reason I bring this up at all is because I truly believe the only way that you can actually pursue the calling that God has on your life is to be willing to take action by putting your time, money, and other resources to work. Yesterday, I was on a call which was a part of this Maxwell leadership program. They have these calls that, and you don't have to hop on them. They can go on, but because I want to get my money's worth, and I want to, which I already have, but I want to make sure I'm doing everything that I can to make this investment in my future that I made worth it for myself. Because now it's up to me, right? I put in the money, and now it's up to me to reap the benefits that are right there in front of me for me to receive. And I was on this call, and it was the topic of the call was talking about overcoming the overwhelm. Really, it was talking about how to take action whenever whenever there's so many reasons that you feel like there are not to. Like a personal example for me is I have so many ideas. I'm an idea person. I don't know if you ever heard of the 6 Working Geniuses. I recommend you look it up. Just Google 6 Working Geniuses. It's a $25 course, and I believe not my code, but you can use the code secrets, I believe, to get $5 off. Thanks to Russell Brunson. Don't thank me. And so then it's only $20 and it's 100% worth it. But the reason I bring that up, the reason I bring up the 6 Working Geniuses is because through that whole process, it came out and gave me like a classification of the creative dreamer. Essentially, my head's in the clouds and I come up with a ton of ideas. That's like the very rudimentary, not complete story of what that is. But it's true. I come up with so many ideas, and that causes me to almost get that shiny object syndrome because I love all of these ideas and then I just don't move. Because there's I try, either I don't move because there's too many things to choose from, or I try to do all these things at once because this is a shiny object, this is a shiny object over here. So I try to take little bite-sized pieces out of each idea, and then you get absolutely nowhere when you do that. So this, and which, inevitably, to tie it back to the call I was on, like, it causes me to get really overwhelmed because there's so many things I could be doing and partially sometimes feel like I should be doing. But if you really want to make progress, you have to focus really on one goal and one trajectory. And one great thing that they said during that call, that the speaker said during the call, was you take action by trying something new that you have never tried before. You take action by trying something you never tried before. You just start. And you don't have to know everything before you get started. They said you're going to mess up, and that's one huge way we learn. I think I've brought that up sometime before on this podcast, that it's in failure a lot of the time is whenever we learn the biggest lessons. Because you can look back on your failure and realize, why did I fail? What caused me to stumble? And what do I need to do to not do that the next time? Or what caused me to mess up? And what caused this not to be as good, as a result of this not to be as good as I thought it was going to be? And how can I make sure that it's a better result next time? And you can tie that into success too. Like, why did I succeed? But this was just within the topic of what they talked about. So your dreams, and one thing I thought about during all of that, and I think another speaker on another different call said this, they go, your dreams, goals, and visions do not do you any good if they stay in your head. This is I'm just speaking to you right now directly. It's time to turn your internal goals, into these intuitions, these dreams, these visions, into an external result. It's time to take the internal and make it external. Out of these mere concepts that are just in your head, and turn them into reality. It's time to make it tangible. So the pursuit of calling is all about taking action. You take the first action, and then even if you fail, you take the next action. You figure out what you need to do next, and you just keep going. And that might sound overwhelming to you. Yes, rest is a huge virtue, and you should rest, but you can't just rest. You have to take action. If you want to pursue your calling, if you want to live in it well, you want to live a life that God has destined for you to live, you got to take action to pursue your calling. You got to take action and pursue your calling. Pursue is not a passive term. Passive is active. Pursuit is active. So this is a time for you, if you don't already have a pencil, a pen, and a piece of paper, or maybe a notes app or whatever, get that up right now. And I want you to start thinking about ways that you can be applying your calling as a way of service to others. Why do I say that? Because your calling isn't just for you. Your calling isn't just for you. Write down minimum 3 different things that you can be doing to turn your calling into an act of service. Who can you serve with this? Who would benefit the most? I'm not talking specifically about businesses. Everyone is called to serve. That's the only reason we're on this planet. Like, we're on this planet to serve. We're here to serve God and to serve others. And you want to know how we serve God? We serve God by serving others. Like, that is like a concept that I think so many people, and this is like, it like actually irritates me a little bit, not in my notes, but it irritates me that people don't get that. People think when they start a business that it's just about making money. And they couldn't be more wrong. Anybody that says starting a business and entrepreneurship is anything but service to others is it's just wrong. They are incorrect. Full stop. Period. No doubt. Only reason to start a business is to serve others. It's not about the money. The money is reward. The money is a reward for the service you provide. It's not the end. It's not the end to the mean. Man, sorry, that was a whole tangent. But, and even though, let's get back to like not just business though. How can you serve others in your community that would apply to the calling that you have on your lives, the calling that you have in your life? How can you serve people in your workplace? How can you make your job more enjoyable by applying your calling to it? We've talked about your calling doesn't just isn't a vocation. Your calling isn't a job. It's not a career. It's not a business. It's a way of life. So how can you apply this way of life, this new way of living that you've discovered to your job, to your career, to your business, to your church community, to the community that you live in? How can you serve others through this calling that you have now discovered that you have on your life? And this is awesome stuff, guys. Like, I really hope you're listening to it. I really hope you're like picking up what I'm laying down right now. I want you go back, rewind, listen to that again if you haven't written your things down yet. But now I want you to write down 3 things that you can do in the next month and in the next 30 days to pursue your calling well. Now, this could be doing research. Let's get super uber practical. This could be doing research. It could be reading new books, listening to some new podcasts, purchasing a program, that you've had your eyes on for a long time, and you can start that process. That kind of, that works out pretty well. It actually is pretty exciting. I know, but like, I bring all these things up because, like, I've told you before, I love reading. And I know Craig Rochelle has a phrase, has a saying, that the best leaders are the best readers. If you're not reading, you're not learning as much as you could be learning. And there's so many books for every topic out there written by people, like, you're not going to get the same value out of a podcast, even though podcasts are fantastic and you can listen to those whenever you want. And like a book, like, though, it takes that same information that a lot of people are talking about in their podcasts and expands on it in a way that you can underline and take notes on it. You can take notes on a podcast too, but like this gives you a whole different medium and a whole different way to learn that not enough people take advantage of. It's time to start reading if you're not already. I don't know if I have the video up. I don't know if it's on YouTube or not, but I'm telling you, I have this massive bookshelf behind me. Some of it's books for pleasure. A lot of it's books for pleasure, just like a lot of fantasy books and things like that. Then the other 50% of the books are about personal development, about growth, about business, about philosophy, and all these other things that interest me that you wouldn't think had anything to do with anything that I'm doing, but they all do. And I could explain each and every book to you and how that I've read. I haven't read all of them, and tell you how they apply to my calling because these things that interest you, your calling is unique to you. I'm going off a random tangent. I'm off my notes. My notes are done. And I'm just speaking from my heart. Like, your calling is unique to you. All these books that I'm reading, I'm into the philosophy books, the personal development books, the books about habits and about how to manage my time better. Like, all of these books. And then there's books about, like, The Hobbit. I have The Hobbit out there too. And guys, it's weird, but like, I use that I use that to read and to rest. And I'm sure there's some lessons in there too. I'm sure there's some lessons in there too. I haven't dove too far into it in that way yet, but one day maybe. Guys, everything you do from this point on that you've discovered your calling and are on the pursuit should be to pursue your calling. You might be like, not all the time. I don't have to be, always pursuing. No, wrong. You always should be pursuing your calling. That's the best thing on your life. The only thing that's like worth doing is the pursuit of calling. Now, there's an infinite amount of things that you can be doing, which is the exciting part, and there's infinite amount of growth that can happen in your life. But and you can say rest is good. Rest is part of the pursuit. Rest is part of the pursuit. Hanging out with friends and making sure you're not going to drive yourself insane by just bumped the microphone, by just being on this pursuit. But guys, it's the most important thing in your life. God gave you this calling. Okay, God's the most important thing in your life and God gave you this calling. The most important thing that is yours, right? It's this calling. Ooh, some people might disagree with me on that, but guys, I'm gonna leave it there because I just kept rambling. But I thought it was all I thought it was all good because, of course, I didn't. I said it, but if you agreed or you disagree with me, let me know in the comments on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Give this podcast, the whole podcast as a whole, a 5-star review. Because we don't want your 1 stars. Because you have nothing nice to say. Don't say anything at all. It's not helpful. Not helpful for you. Not helpful for me. And, but yeah, give it a 5-star review. Comment. Share this episode out with anybody. You don't have to share it on social media. You can just send the link to a friend that you think this would be beneficial towards. I feel like this episode would be beneficial to a lot of people. So please share it with a friend, share it with a family member, share it with your cousins, your aunts, your dog, if they can read, who knows. And guys, I'll see you next time. Keep pursuing.